Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing yet another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a horror film from Canada, English language, released in the year 2017, directed by Leo Sherman, and this film is called Trench 11. So Trench 11 is set during the dying stages of World War I. The Allies have sent a group of soldiers consisting of a Canadian, some British and American individuals that are going to go underground 78 metres in order to investigate an abandoned bunker that the Nazis had. And so the Allies are suspicious as to what the Nazis are up to, so when they go to investigate, they realise that they were actually manufacturing something that is far more terrifying than they could ever have imagined. And so the situation for these soldiers is about to descend into a living nightmare, and whether or not they can actually survive this onslaught in order to tell the tale is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Trench 11. I was actually quite excited to see this film. When I saw the trailer I thought, alright, well this is another German sort of World War experimental horror film, and these have been done time and time again. And more recently there is a film that's really caught everyone's attention called Overlord. Overlord, produced by J.J. Abrams. I don't know when that's actually coming out, but I'm really excited to see that movie. It looks very, very good. So although this idea has been done before, when they're actually done properly, I think they're a lot of fun, is that it's using real history and it's intertwining it with a little bit of, fanciful storytelling. And so I thought, alright, well, creative liberties within history is very interesting. When it's done properly, I just think they definitely have their place as far as the subgenre is concerned. So I thought Trench 11, it had the potential, it enticed me. I thought the trailer did its job in actually making me want to go and see it. And at the end of the day, I will say that for a low budget horror film, it does have its moments, but I just didn't really think it was as good as it really could have been. And I just think it was a little bit too inconsistent, not only in the special effects, but also the way the story is told. And I'll go through that a little bit later, but as I said, for a low budget horror film, there are really good moments, and the best moments come from the atmosphere that the movie creates. Is that there's a lot of mystery behind what these Germans were doing. The bunker is so far underground, so it's almost like they're in a completely different universe and they're there to fend off for themselves. And so when you get yourself in a very unfamiliar terrain, all of a sudden all bets are off, in that the safety barrier is away and you're all alone. And when you're all alone, you're very vulnerable. And so the vulnerabilities of these characters I thought was actually quite scary, and the way that the tension built up, I thought, alright, well this director really has potential as far as telling a story with an atmospheric quality. And so I thought the acting was fairly decent for the budget that it was. I didn't really think the actors really had characters that were terribly difficult, but they did a reasonable job at actually reacting to certain events in a very authentic manner. You've got some set pieces as far as horror and violence is concerned that I thought was fairly decent. There were some good uses of practical effects that take you back to films of the 80s where it was all about practical effects, and it's rarely, CGI really wasn't playing a card back then. But then there's also some CGI in the film which makes that a little bit inconsistent as well. So all the good thing that this movie has, there's something bad to go along with it. And so it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back. And that's the way I felt throughout the entire film, is because, okay, the setting is good, the atmosphere is good, but unfortunately the characters are really non-existent. There is a little bit of character development to the main character that's trying to give you the impression that he's a family guy, that he's got good things to look forward to, but I just didn't care about him enough, is that not enough detail to this guy was put forward. And then the rest of the cast, the rest of these characters, I just didn't care about at all, because I didn't really know anything about them. So it was definitely a situational horror film, and that's something I like if the actual situation is interesting enough. But unfortunately it's very inconsistent and very disjointed in the fluency of the way it's told. Is that this movie should have really relied on what these Germans were doing, and yes it does, but the overall threat is not really as sustained as I really wanted it to be. The movie goes for about 90 minutes, and if you actually sustain that tension from, say, the 10th minute to the last minute, then you can warrant this movie as a really fun ride. But unfortunately I just didn't have as much fun as I really wanted to, because I didn't think they really emphasised that danger enough. And when you watch the film you'll know what I'm talking about. Yes, they're trying to get out of this bunker, but the overall threat, I thought it could have been used a little bit more, and it could have been a little bit more sustained, because there are moments where you can actually have a breather, and those breathing moments kind of just eliminate all the process that the movie has. And so that was my biggest criticism of the movie, is that yes, okay, you've got practical gore effects, but you've also got some CGI, and that's definitely the same with the story. You've got some good moments, but then you have some little moments where it gets stuck a little bit, and I just didn't think it capitalised on the fun potential that the movie had. This could have been a lot of fun, and yes, as I said, it's not a terrible film, but it's nowhere near as fun as it really should have been. So I thought the ending was okay, nothing to really write home about, and the whole film is very disposable. But if you're on a Friday night and you like these types of movies, I'll definitely go and say give it a shot, but I wouldn't really track down a copy to buy, because because it's just not really going to last in the memory because of that disposable sort of nature and the inconsistencies in the way that the story is told. So, J.J. Abrams' Overlord, I would definitely wait for that movie to come out because that looks far more entertaining, whereas in this movie, had potential, but the entertainment really wasn't emphasised enough to really hit a home run. So overall, I'm going to give Trench 11 2.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.